Hi there from Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. We are going to continue in a series of discussions about trying to delete payables entries and what happens. In this video, we're going to talk about what happens if you get a message that you can't delete something because it's either found that there's been a job closing journal entry after the date of the entry, or that the books were closed and that account number used on the bill is included in some entries for the closing. The reason for that, let's just think about it. If you do something like a job closing journal entry, you may have this big balance in your work in progress account. It might be direct construction costs if you're using NHB. So you have this balance of all your job costs, and you close the job. You've used the tools over here for job closing entries, and you close that total balance. Let's say the balance was $300,000. You then close that total balance of all your job costs for $300,000, and you put it into cost of sales on your income statement. If you go ahead and just delete some entry that was included in that $300,000, it would mean the balance in 1430 would end up with this minus amount that didn't get moved when closed to the job. So CHS is going to look for that. It's going to prevent you from deleting an entry if it finds a job closing entry after the date of the entry, and it's going to suggest that you reverse it. A similar type of thing, we're going to demonstrate one that has to do with some office expense that you posted, and that kind of thing. But let's say you're sitting and you're trying to clean up your old unpaid payables, or you had voided a check and something got back on the unpaid payables. Let's open the great big list of all of our unpaid payables. And let's say you're sitting down, you're trying to clean up your books, and you don't want these old things that you're never going to pay on here anymore. So let's notice that we have an old one, some really old ones, I think, if we look here. 2014, a couple of them. So let's just say we're trying to clear up anything dated before 2014. So let's search, and let's do invoices through 12/31/2014. Oops, this particular screen wants two digits for the year. So we see these two entries. We see one is for Sonizo. It's a magazine ad. It's now the year 2016 in March. We know we're never going to pay that, so we think we want to delete that. And we also see this old one on our job to Groot that is old. We're not doing any more entries. We think, oh, let's just delete that. But notice that the GL number is 1430, which is actually was on our balance sheet, included in direct construction costs. When a job closing entry was posted, this $300 was part of that total. So let's see what happens if we try to delete that one for the job. It says CHS has detected that there is a journal entry to close this job. Deleting this entry would affect the general ledger account balance used for that closing entry. The job closing journal entry is dated after the date of this entry. That's what CHS looks for. Therefore, the entry cannot be deleted. The best solution is to post a reversing entry on the Add New Payables window to the GL account this would have been closed to. So if you're an accountant and you know you did a job closing entry, you probably closed that direct construction cost to some cost of sales account. So that's where the costs are sitting. Actually, they're not in direct construction costs anymore. The total of them are now in cost of sales. So if we post a reversing entry, we'll want to put it to that. It says that way this entry and the reversing entry will total to zero on the unpaid payables window. Then select both entries to pay and post them as paid to remove them from the unpaid payables. And we're going to show how to do that. Since these will total to zero, this will not affect your cash. Let's see what message we get if we try to delete this Sonizo one. Now it's telling us that CHS has detected that there's a journal entry to close the books. This isn't related to a job. It was just a general and admin expense. And it's telling you basically the same kind of thing that deleting this entry. So say you had that balance in advertising in the year 2014, When you close the books, that balance in the advertising, the total balance, was moved to whatever equity account, like retained earnings or owner's equity, that you had selected. So this in particular would change, especially as a big amount, it's a big deal, would change what had ended up on your income statement for that year when you did taxes. So this particular entry, you would want to for sure date in the current period and put a description about how you're reversing the 2014 entry that never happened. So we'll demonstrate doing both of those. First of all, let's get a report of both these entries so that we can go ahead and just have the information when we're trying to reverse them. So I'll export that to PDF. You would probably just print it out so you can have it beside you while you're posting your reversing entries. But I'm doing it this way so we can pull it up while we talk. It's now down in my taskbar. So let's close this, and let's close this unpaid payables window. And let's go home, and let's take care of posting those reversals. We're going to post it to accounts payable. And the first one we're going to take care of is the Cenizo Journal ad. So let's take care of that. It's $350. It's unpaid. We can see the GL was $81.20, etc. in 2014. So let's select Cenizo. And this is not a job-related bill, so we'll do a quick bill for that one. And maybe we want to do it the first of this year or something, but you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't date it in that year that it would have gotten closed in. You should date it now. That way it's just going to lower, put a credit to this year's stuff, and you'll have a flow. So I'm just going to call this a reverse, and I'll go ahead and still put it to 81.20, and I'll just put Cenizo reverse unpaid 2014 expense or something. And that Cenizo amount was $350. So we'll do minus 350, and I believe that's all we need to do. And I'm going to go show, after we do the other one, we're going to post this as unpaid to pay later, and we're going to show how to get these cleared off of the unpaid list after we do that. So our other one was for JT's wallpaper, $300 to $49.15 cost code, etc. So let's post it. Let's change our vendor, and let's create a job-related bill, and let's see first of all what job that was. It was job to Groot, 49, okay, for $300. We're not going to do anything about deducting liability from a credit, etc. on those warnings about how their insurance is expired, but let's select the job to Groot. And I'd like you to notice that it says job is closed. So it's trying to help you know that this job is closed, and if you hover over it, it says this job is marked that closing entries are posted. You might want to post a cost of sales GL number. So it gives you, and if you click on it, it's giving you the same information. So you get this in red all of a sudden. That's a clue. And since the job was closed, we might still go ahead and leave this date on it, and we could use the same invoice number we had used on that, which was 011614.01, for whatever reason that was. And then we're going to put, and it says there's a duplicate, so I might even put something after that, an R for reversal. So we're going to do JT's reverse. What was that for? Extras not paid. And let's make sure that our cost code is the same cost code, so we get that, because this will show up on a job cost report. So it's $49.15. So that's okay. We want to use that. You basically want to use a lot of the same stuff except maybe the date. And you could change the invoice up a little. And that amount was for $300. So now we want to put a minus 300 and post that credit. So let's go ahead and submit that. And it's talking about some other overages, but we know we're just clearing up things, so we won't pause and look at what's causing over budget, etc. This job is even closed, so let's just continue to submit this and post as unpaid to pay later and close that. And you might have, when it paused there and said it was posted, you could click a button to view the entries, and you can add some notes there to that entry. If you're the bookkeeper, you want to elaborate some more about that particular entry, some notes about it, which you could also do on the unpaid payables menu. But let's open it all up again. Go ahead and let it come in. So what I was talking about was, let's do our search again. Let's don't do our search because we put newer dates on that. But we were dealing with Siniso. Now you can see there's a plus amount and a minus amount. And if we go ahead and mark both of those as to pay, and then we say we want to do a payment, we're going to go ahead and say we want to do a payment. We can see it would be a zero amount. You can see that here. But we want to get these off of our unpaid payables list. So I'm going to say print or post check. And we'll go ahead and leave it for today. The amount will be zero, so we'll just use a 1.033116 as our check number, which is a tip that I give you here. And then I'm just going to post as paid. And yes, post them as paid. And then they won't be on our list anymore. If I try to click Siniso and open this, you're going to see that there's no unpaid bills, no records found. So I won't open the big one again. Let's just look at JT's. We know that's the one we want to deal with. So let's pull up the entries for that. And we see that we have the minus 300 and the plus 300 here for doing that. So let's do not deduct retainage from that and check mark this other one. So the two of them together are zero. And we'll click payment and post or print check. And it'll be a zero amount, so we don't care about the cash account. We'll let it be today. We know we just used a 1 in a period, so let's use a 2 in a period for today's and use 6 digits for the date for our check number. We just have to have a check number to post those two, so even though it's a zero amount. And it says we posted them as paid, and we're going to just say yes, they ran okay. We're not really printing them. So if we close that, we won't have those entries on our unpaid payables. If I click to look again at JT's wallpaper, we just have 2 entries that we really are going to pay them, and it was the same for Siniso, and those entries won't be showing up here anymore. And I made a big mistake on that JT's wallpaper. I used the wrong cost code. on the Siniso, the wrong GL number. I did not pay attention to my warning about changing the GL. I just remembered that. But let's just go to our vendor ledgers of all of them so we can see paid ones too. And let's just use all dates and ask for that JT's wallpaper and the job to group. We know that's what it was for. See if we can't get that GL number changed. Should have paid attention to it while it was there, but when I'm doing videos, but this helps sometimes if you realize right afterwards, oh my gosh, I didn't pay attention to that warning. Notice how my GL, for the original one back in 2014 was 1430, but we pointed out that all of that would have been moved now. If we did a trial balance, we just have this minus $300 in 1430 for this job, and we don't really want that. We want to be a smart bookkeeper And we want to have just not had those show up in work in progress, which is what that 1430 is, because we know we moved it. So what we want to do is change this GL account to 36 cost of sales. We know that's where we would have posted that when we did the closing entry, and so we'll submit that and take care of getting that edited to be to the right GL account now. All of these were 1430 on DeGroot, but they were all closed to the account 3600 when you did the job closing entry. And that's the purpose of that warning over there, is to tell you to remember 1430 dropped in because it's the default GL number for that vendor, JT's Wallpaper. And you need to pay attention to the things in red and what CHS is trying to tell you to do. Okay, I hope that helps, and thank you for watching.